Welcome to Vacation Station, hosted by Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazines.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to Big Blend Radio's Vacation Station travel show with your hosts Nancy Reed and Lisa Smith. We're the crazy mother-daughter travel team and publishers of Big Blend Magazines. Check it all out at BigBlendMagazines.com. But today we're very excited because we've got the Fire Monkey back here with us. Fire Monkey is Debbie Stone. She's a travel writer. She's been with us for a while, telling us about all these adventures she has around the world. Sometimes she's out in, I know she's going to New Zealand, but she's been all over the world. I'm just thinking about to all the places. I think we first met her when she was going to the Sea of Cortez. And from there, she's gone to Norway. She's been to the Shetland Islands. She's been to Wales. She's been all over the East as well. So very excited to have her back because today's story is not that far from her house. Now, she's based in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And today she's going to tell us about Albuquerque, not far away at all. And apparently she went on a hot air balloon ride. She got to witness flamenco. I had no idea flamenco was a big scene in Albuquerque. Of course, she had some amazing New Mexico cuisine. She went to the Turquoise Museum and all kinds of museums. Apparently a really big adventure, and again, not far from her doorstep. So keep up with our articles on our sites. Go to blendradioandtv.com or nationalparktraveling.com. She actually has a two-part series on Albuquerque, so you can see it there on nationalparktraveling.com and in the next couple issues of Parks and Travel magazine. So Fire Monkey, you want to tell everybody again why you got that name? Where were you?
That was, I believe that was in Bhutan. That's right, exactly. Yeah. This the monk gave it to me based on my astrological symbols and calendar and all that elements and all that kind of stuff. So well, yeah, it's I guess it is stuck with you.
Yeah, I mean, because we call you Fire Monkey, and for new listeners, they're going to go, "Gee, is that how you treat your guests?" But yes, apparently we do. But Albuquerque, and everyone, you can go to Visit-Albuquerque.org, and we're going to talk about the name Albuquerque too, and how that happened because it had extra R's and all kinds of things. But it really seems interesting for you being in Santa Fe. It's not that far to go to Albuquerque, right?
No, it's about an hour away. And the curious thing about this is I've been to Albuquerque many times, but really, I haven't, because basically I'll go because I'll need something at some mall or something, or I'll use it as a place to go in and out of because of the airport, because of Sunport there. And so I really, and of course I have done the Hot-Air-Balloon-Fiesta, but it's like I have not really kind of ventured further in, and I feel like all I have had is kind of like just this top layer, and so I really took the opportunity to get to know the city better, and I was so surprised because to be honest with you, I just didn't realize how much there was there. Whether it's the museum scene, the cultural scene, the food scene, it's just, I mean, the park scene. It's just a very dynamic city that I think kind of for some people, I think sometimes is kind of goes below the radar, and I don't think people think about Albuquerque in that way. And so I'm so delighted that I have the opportunity to really kind of delve further into the city, and now I can tout all of its wonderful attributes.
Well, this is something too, because when you were in Bhutan, I remember, all the hot air balloons, right? And then Albuquerque, you wrote a piece for Big Blend Radio and TV magazine. You went to the balloon fiesta, the hot air balloon fiesta this year.
Right.
But then you went up in a hot air balloon, and and then you had champagne at the end. Nancy, the first thing she was like, "Where's the champagne?" And she's like, "There's the champagne. Right. Gotta have the champagne." This year we went to the Colorado River Crossing Balloon Festival here in Yuma, Arizona, where we're at today, and it was so interesting when they start firing them up. There's like an excitement, and it's like, oh wow. And then unfortunately we had some weather issues here, believe it or not, in the sunniest place on earth. But it is happening. It's one of those seasons, which means desert wildflowers are coming. I know it. This season's going to be big. I say that every year, but I believe it because we've had extra rain and everything. But you know, when you watch people start to take off, and one balloon, like they started to go like, you know, like, whoa, everybody's run, stand back, and there's kids going, wait, I want to get on the balloon. but that has got to be like, wow, this is an interesting takeoff. Like, you know, that's got to be
Yes.
doing that.
It is, I think, you know, I think it is, like I mentioned in my story, it is a bucket list for many people. I think it provides such a unique perspective of the topography of the whole area, that you get this wonderful bird's eye view of it, and you kind of see the layout, you see, you know, what's surrounding a place, you know, and it's, to me, it's very magical. I think I've been on several hot air balloons throughout the world, and every time I go, it's special. I never get to the point where I go, oh, hot air balloon ride, been there, done that. Never, ever. I jump at every opportunity I can to go up in a hot air balloon, because every place is different, you know, and because it's, you know, it's the geography of the place, and it's everything. Every place has its own unique, special assets about it, and it's, you know, in Albuquerque being the hot air balloon capital of the world, it just makes, you know, made so much sense. And when I went to Balloon Fiesta, I did not get to go up in a balloon, so I was like salivating and drooling, and I wanted to go up in a balloon, and so then I got my opportunity to go up in a balloon, you know, and it really was very special, because, you know, Albuquerque's got the mountains, the Sandia Mountains are there, then they've got the Rio Grande River that goes through the landscape, and so, you know, the panorama was spectacular. And of course, you do it at sunrise, and so you get to experience those beautiful sunrises, especially in New Mexico. It's just, you know, the colors are just exquisite, and, you know, and then you're floating, and people are always like, well, you know, is it rocky? Is it, you know, and it's cold or whatever it is? And it's like, no, it's gentle, it's smooth. It's actually not cold up there, because the burners provide warmth, you know.
That's awesome.
And it's just such a different view than what you have in a plane.
Yes.
It's just so different. You're like, wow.
You're part of it. I think I equate it to, like, when you're as a musician back in the day, when we had our band and you'd perform outside, you are one with nature as you're singing and doing, you know, there's this connection that's different than being indoors and performing. And when you're out in a balloon, you're out, it's open, it's open. Whereas an airplane, well, back in the day, the old school planes, that's got to be kind of similar, but it's this quite there. It just looks so beautiful in general. When I was looking at all your photos, and I'm like, dude, like, I want to do that. And going over the river, isn't that river like a big birding destination too? Like a lot of
I believe so. In parts of the river, I believe. I've been in the Texas Rio Grande area, and there were a lot of birds. And, I've been up in further northern New Mexico, up towards Taos, and you know, it's a big, long river, you know, and you know, it's interesting to see how it snakes through that urban kind of environment, and then like I said, those mountains are just really spectacular. And so it's one of those things, and we were really lucky because we had this very experienced balloon pilot who, you know, has won a lot of you know, awards and holds all these world records. And so, you know, if anybody was feeling nervous, and, you know, there were a few people in the hot air balloon that had never been in a hot air balloon ride, but as soon as I heard about this guy's credentials and pedigree, it was like, you know, you're in good hands.
Right. You're right. Hey, listen, at the end of the day, one of the things too is when you look at the hot air balloon, I go back to, what's his name? Richard Branson, and he went up with that other guy, and they went on the top of the hot air balloon and had tea. So when you talk about floating, you know, that is interesting to me, you know. So it's a cool.
It's very peaceful. It's very quiet. It's just a lovely experience. And I encourage anybody who's even thinking about it or would like to try it, that it's just, you know, I think they'll find that it's just it is definitely one of those ranking high on the list for travelers, I think.
Oh, for sure.
And then you went they have an international balloon museum, hot air balloon museum. So you went there, but it also looks like You went through they have like a ton of museums. Like this is like Museum City.
Yeah, and that is what surprised me too. I guess I wasn't even aware. I knew that there were a few museums, but I had never been in the Hot-Air-Balloon Museum, and it was very cool because it just, not only did talked about hot air ballooning and all the leaders and the record setters and the Hall of Fame and all that kind of stuff, but the history of it, and then blimps and other forms of flight, and it was like, and then they talk about the weather and how Albuquerque itself is. They have something called like the Albuquerque box, which is like wind patterns that are very predictable. Where kind of like the lower winds move one direction, I think, and the higher winds move another, but they're very predictable. And so they create this box that makes it, I think, easier to navigate for the balloon pilots. But you learn all about weather and all about all this stuff there, and it's wonderful. It's a great place. You could spend a lot of time there. But the museum scene really, they've got wonderful, the history, art, and there's space and dinosaurs and kids museum and all sorts of things. But then there's all these kind of more unique museums, like the Turquoise Museum really blew me away. It was phenomenal. First of all, it's in this castle that was once the residence of this woman, this eccentric woman. I believe she was from Germany, but she created a castle in the middle of downtown Albuquerque. And it's like, and now there's this incredible museum that's chock full of these of exhibits and talking about everything about turquoise, and it's family run, and it's just to me, I thought it was one of the best museums I've been to, and it's a personal favorite of mine, and it's fifth generation family, and they've been involved in turquoise mining and all the history, the mineralogy, the whole the cultures that are famous for that gem, and talking about some pieces of the blue and the green and how it's shaped and how they're polished and all that kind of stuff. And then the collectible pieces that were, that George Washington stone, and that, it was like, oh my gosh, and the jewelry and the turquoise chandelier, and it was
and the death mask.
on and on.
There was that dead mask, the death mask.
Yes.
Wow.
The death mask, and then that horse.
The horse necklace.
Oh, I love that. I thought that was gorgeous, But the thing that surprises you the most is that when we were told, that, almost 95% of what the turquoise that's on the market that's sold is imitation.
Wow.
And it blew me away. And
wow.
I thought, I wanted to run home and look at my turquoise and find out if it was imitation.
I know. I remember having like this one necklace or bracelet or something and going, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right. And now I know it's not right. It's neat. But there's also the BioPark, and I remember the BioPark coming back in our days of print, when we were Southwest Blend magazine, when it was actually being formed. And it was like, or they were adding on to it. There was a lady who was always, you need to come here. We never got there. And I'm like, good, someone finally got there from, the blend side of things. So I'm glad you got to go and see that it's interesting, because it's like it's like, I look at it, it's got gardens and there's a beach and all kinds of stuff.
The fun thing is they say there's a beach in the middle of Albuquerque, the Tingley Beach, and that's pretty funny because it's really it's a few ponds that they use for fishing and boating, and people walk around it, and it's kind of this little oasis in the middle of the urban center, so to speak. But it is pretty funny, and but the BioPark is great. And I've been to the BioPark for like the holiday lights. They do a beautiful light show for the holidays, and in the Botanic Garden, and there's a zoo there, and so it's a combination of wonderful attractions for both the locals and for tourists. And I think it's one of those places that, like you said, it's like, oh my gosh, all these things together in this one place.
I dig it. And then, okay, so I wanted to go back to the name Albuquerque, because it's also what the Burke, people call it the Burke, which I would, Like, hey, I'm going to the Burke. But it's also the Duke. So John Wayne, the dude, was there,
Nothing to
or
do with it.
no?
Yeah. Too bad, Duke.
It basically has to do with Spain's Duke of Albuquerque,
Oh.
and this guy, this viceroy whom the city was named for back in the early 1700s, but they spelled it with this extra R in there, and they eventually dropped it. But sometimes you'll see it with that extra R if it is a traditional type of situation. And when I first saw it, I was like, oh, they misspelled the name, and it's like, no, that was the original names. But yeah, Duke City is often what is regarded as anything to, I think, sometimes to shorten the name, because Albuquerque is it's a little bit more lengthy and a little bit more cumbersome. Some people look at it and don't know quite how to say it, or so sometimes it's easier just quirky.
Hey, it's on Route 66 too. That's the other thing. Albuquerque is on Route 66, so you could drive, from your house on Route 66 in Santa Fe to Route 66 Albuquerque.
And in Central Avenue is the street that was Route 66, and there are some real fun vintage neon signs that are there, and some other artifacts. And the cool thing is that I think it's one of only a few places where the Route 66 intersects with itself, which is, I guess, some sort of realignment quirk that happened back years ago.
It's Albuquerque.
Yeah, that is, and it's fun to find the quirks in it. I love that
stuff. Okay, so Nancy's favorite thing, I know Nancy already wants to go, right? Nancy is the New Mexico Museum of Natural History and Science, because Dinosaur Land, and this is interesting because this year you've been all over national parks, and you went to the dinosaur boneyard,
Yes, I went to the real,
the
Jurassic
real dinosaur
world,
Yeah, and then here you've got these, life-size dinosaurs welcoming you, so you must have felt at home.
It's fun. I
meant
really
that in a
like
nice
dinosaurs.
way, by the way.
No, I really like dinosaurs. I mean, I always have been intrigued by them. I think they're intriguing, and it's really interesting how people do different exhibits of dinosaurs all over the country and the world. And this museum is great. It's also talks about geology, and then there's this planetarium where you can go in and do a kind of one of those star shows. And so and it's just nice that I think it's great for families, kids, adults, everybody gets something out of it at whatever level they're at,
I think dinosaurs are way cool, because like today, if you see a lizard, in my mind, I'm like, okay, what if that was like a 30-foot tall dinosaur? Hi, lizard.
Hi, lizard. It's true. But then, okay, so Albuquerque's kind of split between, here's our modern side and then here's our old town side. Is that, I've just never
I think that there is a lot of really fun modern stuff going on, and really cool innovative stuff, but yet Albuquerque is such a historic place, just like New Mexico is. And so Old Town is one of those places that you'll go and you can stroll around, and it's just it dates back quite some time, and there's a little plaza, and it's really it really is a historic district. It's on the State Register of Cultural Properties, and it's there's these historic adobe buildings that are surrounding one of those old plazas, and there's a Spanish colonial church there that I think was originally constructed in the late 1700s, and and now it's shops and galleries and restaurants, and very charming, very colorful place. And so you get a sense of, this is where the historical section was, but I think the whole city, there's lots of history throughout the city, but that is one of the places that I think is a magnet for visitors, first-time visitors especially.
So that I love old towns. It's like San Diego's old town is really cool.
Yes.
Yes. And it's a little bit
awesome.
different than a typical downtown, but it's still it is like the old school downtown, old town. I dig it.
It takes you back to what it was like when it was formed.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It gives you that
and
sense of real
gives
place
you a slice
before.
of history. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like that.
So when you were there, that's where the Albuquerque Museum is too, right? The main.
Right, and this is a very interesting museum with a lot of art and historical artifacts, and you'll see paintings from well-known artists like Ernest Blumenschein, George O'Keeffe, Raymond Johnson, all these types of art, and then you'll also see the Cochiti pottery from the Pueblos and Fred Harvey's artifacts and paraphernalia and things, which I think is very cool. And then all these, and then vintage Route 66 signs, and there's a sculpture garden, and it's, and I love that kind of stuff. I love wandering outside in the sculpture garden. So there's that one piece, the La Jornada, which is hard to miss. It occupies this entire corner of the property, and it's kind of a juxtaposition of both views from Native and Western world views, and it has had some controversy over it, and you'll see some the Native Americans, and then you'll see the kind of the Hispanics, and you'll see, and so it's different world views that are juxtaposed, and but it's very interesting and quite massive as well. So that's there as well. So there is so much, and then of course you've got the, not only do you have a whole Hispanic side, and then you have the Native American side, and the fact that they have these centers. They have a Hispanic cultural center, and then they have an Indian Pueblo cultural center, and so you can get both in that. It's nice that they have done that, I think. I spent time at the Pueblo Cultural Center, which is wonderful because it presents the 19 Pueblos in New Mexico, the kind of the history, their art, the culture. And then they do this wonderful, they do demonstrations of Native dance. So they'll invite the Pueblo of the week or the month or whatever it is. When I was there, it was the Zuni Pueblo. And so they had the dances, and they had flute and drums, and then somebody who was narrating and telling you about the dances and what they meant. And I love watching. I love that.
Nice.
And then they had this amazing restaurant, the Harvest, the Pueblo Harvest restaurant, which had something I'd never seen, which was a pre-contact menu. Have you heard that before?
No.
No, I've heard of
What does that
prefix,
mean?
but not a pre-contact.
Pre-contact? What does that
Pre-contact meaning at the entrees, the food that was found before the Europeans came. So you're not going to find, stuff that you would find.
It's the opposite of contact.
It's the pre-white man coming in and
right.
doing their,
so you're having
saying.
the real stuff. What can be what was found here, like elk and trout and
before
bison
Thanksgiving,
and,
right? Sorry.
yes,
oopsie.
and green chilies and all that kind of stuff that was found
natural
here
to the plate.
That's what you were talking about in your article. I'm like, green chili stew sounds really good to me right now.
That sounds good.
That's the thing about New Mexico is the food. I mean, it's like the green chilies, the red chilies. You got the Christmas style, but when because you're so close to Santa Fe and the history, like Santa Fe being the oldest capital city in the country, and the history of the Spanish, European, Native American, all these different in Mexico, right? All these different cultures coming in together. It seems like Albuquerque and Santa Fe are just really like joined at the hip in that way, and
I think throughout New Mexico, I think with chili is dominant and dominates in the cooking and the flavors, and you'll find chilies on atop everything. And I even said that, you can find it in sushi, and you can find it in jam and ice cream and all sorts of things, not to mention, the typical soups and stews and sauces. And, it's just, and it's interesting because every restaurant, they have their own recipe for their chili and for their sauces. And so some restaurants, they'll tell you our chili is very, spicy, or our sauce is very spicy. And, it's definitely, if you're not familiar with chili, you should probably say, I'll take a little bit on the side, so instead of having it smothered on your dish. You know what I mean?
Yeah. and they do Christmas in Albuquerque just like Santa Fe?
Oh yes, absolutely. The red and green, and locals, love to be able to say, I'll take, my Christmas, and then, tourist travelers find out about it, and they're like, oh, I'll take mine Christmas, and it just, it's a fun thing to say, and it's a great, I think it provides a fun identity for the chilies, but yeah, and you can find this type of food everywhere. Any place you can find in New Mexico, and there was a famous restaurant called El Pinto, which is in Albuquerque, and it's been around for a long time, and they're really well known for their chilies, and also for their salsa, and then for their tequilas, which they have like this incredible bar with 160 different types of tequilas.
I'm on my way. I actually underlined that about your article. I saw that. 160. I'm like, hello. I need to live there and have one every other day. That's my style, man. That is, but and then mezcal.
Research project.
I know, research and development is becoming my favorite term. But you talked about a meal. You had tamales and then carne adobada, and I was like, "Did you mean avocado?" No, but adobada. I haven't had that before. That's going to be.
And
something...
I don't eat meat, so I saw that it was carne adobada. I don't know exactly what. I just know it is a meat dish.
Different style, because they do different styles. Like there's that one that it's like it's air dried meat. Like there's all these different ways of doing meat and
preparing it. Absolutely.
So that's a new one for me, so I'm gonna have to check that out just to see. But you also said that it's got gardens around it, and it seems like Albuquerque's into gardens.
Beautiful. Yes, and farms, and there's this big what is it, farm to fork or farm to table scene that's going on there, and they use all the harvest that's what's in season, that the bounty, the local local purveyors, local growers, local farmers, and so there's a big scene. There's a couple of restaurants that I went to and had such incredibly wonderful local organic seasonal food. One is the Grove, which is a well-known spot for locals, and they do breakfast and lunch, and it's really a wonderful go-to place, and they have such great fresh food. I love their sweet potato hash. It's incredible, and they do wonderful, avocado toast and a little bit of French stuff, and just fresh fruit and these incredible pancakes. And then there's a wonderful spot called Los Poblanos, and that's out in what's called the Los Ranchos area, and it's an area that has a lot of acreage, and so there are a lot of farms, and were a lot of farms. There's also wineries out there as well. And Los Poblanos is basically an inn that you can actually stay at, but you can also go and eat, and they have their own farm, organic farm and lavender farm, and this incredible farm shop where they sell their products. But the restaurant Campo is just terrific, and it really is one of those prize places that I think should be on people's list if they go to Albuquerque. You won't regret it. It's just amazing food.
And then the food. So you got wine and a beer scene going too, because New Mexico's in wine production.
It may be a surprise to people that there is this wine scene here, and it has been around for a while, but it is, I think, getting more traction, and people are finding out, more and more that, this climate, they've got the sun, they've got the high altitude and the dry climate, and this good soil, and it's great for growing good grapes. And now they've got these, wonderful winemakers, and they are trying to, and they are not trying, they are making their mark on the scene. And so I suggest if people would like to try the wine and would like to kind of delve into the wine scene, then there's a couple of really amazing wineries. Casa Dania, I think is the pronunciation, is right out there by Los Poblanos. So it's out there in that Ranchos area, and it's beautiful. It looks like this Tuscan estate. It's gorgeous, and you're walking around thinking you're in Italy, and that's amazing. And then Sheehan Wines, which is well, he's not new, but probably relatively new to the scene. Sean Sheehan, he has what's called what we might be a backyard winery, which is right next door to his house, and he's been making wines, and he produces 35 now, and he's gotten awards, and so it's fun. You go from one kind of one very established kind of Italian looking place, and then you go to the backyard winery, and it's great because it's a wonderful opportunity to meet the winemakers, to talk and taste and all that kind of good stuff. And then beer, they've got tons and tons of beers. I think they have 50 breweries and tap rooms in town. So I mean, big time.
Can you imagine if we had a winery in our backyard, Lisa?
We wouldn't be on the tour. We would never be on our Love Your Parks tour, traveling full time. We'd be drinking full time. No, because I know the reality is I know that wineries are hard work. So shout out to anybody doing a winery. It's
absolutely.
It's like, and it's a big risk to do it as well. So I always appreciate, especially the small wineries. It's like, and I just appreciate them so much because they make my life happy.
It really is an art.
It's an art, and it makes my life so much easier, in life. It's like all things are good with that. But I know I remember when we were in Santa Fe that we went on a New Mexico food tour with Nick Pena, and he took us around, and his company is also based in Albuquerque where he takes food tours. Right. And he was talking about, the beer in New Mexico. There's it's like an entire beer trail that you can follow.
Yes.
Around
there's a beer, just like there's a green chili cheeseburger trail, there's a margarita trail, there's a beer. I mean, there are a lot of trails.
I'm into trails. Nancy and I have become map addicts, and hey, your fair city, Santa Fe, is on our new public art trail, like our map.
Oh, nice.
I have to show you the map. Everyone's on nationalparktraveling.com. Just type in public art, and it maps all the public art we've experienced on our tours so far, or destinations. Sometimes we have the Las Cruces, the big Roadrunner. You've seen that one, right?
Oh, of course, yes.
Yeah, the iconic Roadrunner, dude. And you can see Priscilla, our little pink sock monkeys, not even a toenail of the Roadrunner, how big that Roadrunner is, Anyway, it's I think New Mexico, the Land of Enchantment is absolutely true. And I know they also talk about New Mexico True. And it's really about New Mexico's really done an incredible job of not losing itself, of being who it is, who you are. Each community is different, yet you share the same lineages, and but it's still, each is individual. And I think it's a magical state, and I think it's very cool that you live there, because we're coming to visit.
Yes, you will. You will come again. No, I think
know we will.
And I think that true thing has to do with authenticity as well. Whether you're talking food, or whether you're talking culture and history, it really has to do with the authenticity of it. And so I think Albuquerque, like Santa Fe, like Taos, like a lot of places in New Mexico, there's so much that's authentic there. And I think a lot of travelers these days are looking for authentic experiences,
right?
And they're not interested in theme parks or that kind of thing. And it's like, I want to see something that's authentic,
the
and
real
something
deal.
that comes from the roots of whatever it was. Yeah, the real deal. And
otherwise, everything's the same. And why would you bother to travel to see something exactly the same?
Yeah, you've got your phone and internet for that, So it's
absolutely.
One thing I knew Albuquerque and the Hot-Air-Balloon Festival. I knew about Chili's, Route 66, but I didn't know like how many museums. I didn't know and raceway museums, race car museums, all kinds of rattlesnake museums, all kinds of crazy stuff. That's cool, crazy stuff, right? But like, I did not know about the flamenco scene in Albuquerque, because we know mariachi scene in Tucson. You guys have it too, but I had never thought, and it makes sense because of the Spanish history is deep there.
Right.
So
oh my gosh. I, like you, was completely surprised about that, that it is the North American capital of flamenco.
Wow.
And that it has roots because, Spain ruled, for like 300 years in
Cities
New
of
Mexico.
gold.
And
yeah.
so you've got, all of that influence in the region. And so what is really amazing about it is that the University of New Mexico in Albuquerque has the only dance program in the world where you can get your bachelor's and your MFA in with a concentration in flamenco.
Wow.
And there's also a National Institute of Flamenco. There's this festival that they hold every year that goes on for a week. It just, where flamenco artists come from Spain, and there's workshops and performances, and you can also, go see as a visitor, as a spectator. There are shows in town, and I went to the one called the Tableau Flamenco Albuquerque, and it really is. I think this is an incredible show. It's, as I say, it's such a sizzling, smoldering performance, and there's a guitarist, and there's singing, and there's stamping and clapping and tapping and twirling and swirling and everything. And these dancers are just so you're like glued to them. It's they're
sensual
so
too.
magnetic.
It's very
sensual.
It's like wow, and it's
colorful.
I think it's beautiful. I think
it's gorgeous, and it's
really,
exciting. And the tableau, that word tableau means that it's primarily improvisational. So it's like there's a lot of real communication that goes on between the dancer and the guitarist, and so a lot of it is improvised. And so that to me is even more. I mean, it's like, whoa, this is amazing.
Wow.
And when we were there was a guest dancer from Spain, and so that was pretty wonderful as well. But yeah, I was so blown away by the whole flamenco scene. I was like, what?
I had no idea. And the other thing that's interesting, how we are about our parks, and
yes,
I want to touch on that because you actually stayed in like a hotel version of Chaco Canyon.
Yes.
And Nancy and I,
what?
we went to Chaco this year.
Yay!
We stayed in Gallup and went up to Chaco, and
yes,
I was reading the article about where you were staying, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So this is Hotel Chaco, and
right.
one restaurant is named after Pueblo Bonito, which everyone is like, it's like this incredible ruin and ceremonial site, and you have to go there to believe it. I don't understand how they built this. I want to know. Like,
yeah, I know.
Did aliens come down and help? I mean,
right.
what?
It's mind blowing. It really is. It's an amazing experience to go. And this hotel, the Hotel Chaco, it's relatively new to the whole scene there in terms of lodging. It really is very impressive. It's a beautiful hotel. It's very organic. It has this traditional and contemporary melding, and then the artwork is just, oh my gosh, a Native American and New Mexican artwork, and from a number of pueblos and tribes are represented, and it's beautiful. Everywhere you turn, every corner, there's a piece of art, whether it's a sculpture or a mural or a painting, and it truly is one of those really exceptional hotels. And they have this incredible restaurant at the top called Level 5, which is up on the top with this rooftop deck out there, and the food itself is terrific as well. It's very impressive. And then when the big thing there is, of course, when the sun starts to set, people go out onto the deck and you watch the Sandia Mountains that are turning absolutely beautifully rosy pink. And Sandia, by the way, means watermelon in Spanish, so you can understand where they got that from. And everybody just, kind of oohs and ahs, while they're sipping their libation, and just, it's one of those, that's the magical time.
I want a cocktail. I want like a sweet margarita, not a margarita, martini, like kind of like one like with chili in it. I want a martini with chili.
You can probably find
martini.
Yes. Yeah, a chili infused martini. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Make it not stirred.
I like that. But it's also that they infused all this art in there too, with
Right.
infusions now, because now I'm in cocktail mind.
Mm-hmm.
But there's art throughout this hotel, so it's kind of like how La Fonda in Santa Fe. This is kind of like that, where they
Yes.
understand art and
Yes.
that it's part of the experience.
And it is terrific. It really is. And the Chaco Hotel operates, I think, they do, actually, they will take people, they do tours where they will take you to Chaco Canyon as well. So you can have this comprehensive stay where you're there and you're in Albuquerque, and then you go to Chaco Canyon, and, you're there staying at Hotel Chaco, and it kind of completes your whole experience. So you can do that as well, which I think is wonderful. And speaking of the art thing, I forgot to mention that the whole city has just, I think it's almost 1,000 pieces of art, paintings, sculptures, and murals. They have this incredible public arts program. So you'll find murals everywhere. Everything is so very colorful. And then they've got, you're speaking of parks, they've got great, over, I think, several hundred parks and green spaces and little pocket parks. And, so it's, it's also an outdoor mecca, and
and Petroglyph National Monument. How far is that?
Yes. Oh, it's not that far. It's right outside the city, basically. So it's not that far, and easy for people who are coming to town. I think I did that several years ago, and when I first came, and I'd heard about that and went there. And yes, you can see all the, the petroglyphs and the pictographs and those kinds of things. And, it just once
you
again
said over
tells
24,000 images are protected.
Yes. Yeah, it's
24,000.
It's one of the largest. I think it's one of the largest in the country in terms of petroglyphs.
Talk about public
and it's
art.
also the most easily accessible as well. You know what I mean? It's not like you're having to hike miles to find the petroglyphs.
It's ancient public art to me. It's like when you see place, it's just that they're trying to say something, and I always just trip out. I get into a weird zone. Because it just, I feel like you're saying something. I want to know what you're saying. What can I do? What happened here? I want to know. And what is sad about that is how people. So important that they're within our National Park Service or any park service that can protect them, because people decide, oh well, I'm going to rock carve it, or going to do my own petroglyph and ruin things on top of places like that. So I just really
that's just terrible. It's not a place to do graffiti.
Don't
you know what I
do
mean?
it. No, take that to your wall at home. You've got an exterior of your house. Go annoy your homeowner association by doing your own graphic art.
No, this needs to be, and it should be, needs to be protected. This is ancient. This is tracing history, and so to me, it's leave it alone, protect it, keep it safe.
It's protected, and that's what our Park Service is so important. And I just want to say too, the public art over 1,000 places, pieces. To me, that's amazing. Something. Nancy and I had no idea how many places, or we had no idea what we were. We're going off touring the country on parks. Next thing you know, it's like, oh well, here's public art. Here's public art. Right. And when you start to see it, and there's this new program. It's called the 1% program, art program. And it really, the communities come together and say, we want art. And you've seen it in Detroit, when you went to Detroit and Cleveland.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. It tells a story. But the art that I saw, the images that you send us, for everyone, it's up in the article. They're telling it straight up. There's no they are allowing the artists to do their mural with what they want to say. Whether it's public, popular or not, they're going to say exactly what they want to say.
It could be, political. It could be, spiritual. It could be, humorous. There's all sorts of ways to express oneself through art forms, and it's wonderful that cities and towns embrace that and welcome that, and for the locals that are there as well as for visitors. So definitely important.
Awesome. So where's next?
I just got back I just got back from Monument Valley, so another wonderful Southwest Mecca destination that is on the Navajo grounds reservation, and I had a wonderful guided tour by a Navajo guide, and so that was wonderful, beautiful, exceptionally spectacular. And so that's that. And then I will be heading to Fiji and to New Zealand in January.
Oh, that's just so sad. So sad.
I know. I know.
Poor fire monkey.
I know.
Fire monkey
Why
has
did
such a
you
sad
do it?
life. I know. But in Fiji, I think some of your fire is going to go, okay, I'm just going to chill, man. There's just
Oh,
like
yeah.
this-
Oh, I plan. I
Yeah.
would love to just chill. I mean, that's what our plan was, to chill and kind of get a little break before we head down to New Zealand and to the Kiwis.
Oh,
so,
I love that.
Yeah. So
When
anyway,
you're there-
I'm really excited.
When you're there, you need to drink Mount Beautiful wine when you get to New Zealand. It's some
Ooh,
of the
yes.
best wine we have ever
Boy,
had
so
in our
good.
life. I'm not kidding.
So good.
I'm not kidding. It is some of the best wine. So I'm just a recommendation. So I'm
Good.
Yeah. But everybody here, again, go to nationalparktraveling.com. Debbie's article, she's got two. One that really showcases the food and lodging, the Hotel Chaco, and then one showing you all the sites that she experienced, because she had a big adventure, an Albuquerque adventure, and it's just an hour away from her home. And I love this. I know, it's so cool that, but that's the thing. I love it when sometimes you just don't have to go that far to experience these magical places, and I think that's great. Also, it's featured in the upcoming issue of Parks and Travel magazine that comes out January 1st. So check it all out at nationalparktraveling.com. Of course, keep up with us at bigblendradio.com. Our shows air Sunday, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, except for major holidays. And everybody, happy holidays if this is airing before holidays for you. And we're going to play some music, as always, for you. So
Wonderful.
This one, I'm thinking more on the flamenco side, but this is it's a light flamenco. And this is from Domingo de Grazia. He is based out of Tucson, Arizona. His father is the famed Arizona artist Ted de Grazia, Southwestern artist. And this is from the album Please Remember Me, which they found the manuscripts for his dad's music, and they recreated the music with the Tucson Jazz Orchestra Ensemble. And also this is an original on the album from Domingo, and it's called Chase, Dance, Laugh, because isn't that what flamencos are like? There's a little bit of, there's a chase in there. So here it is, everyone. Oh, and you can go to degrazia.org for the album Chase, Dance, Laugh. Thanks so much, Fire Monkey.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.